welcome back to the Dynasty Arsenal podcast. This is episode 5, going into week 5, and I am joined, as always, by my good friend and co-host, Tags. Tags, how was your week 4 weekend?
It was wonderful for me. I won in pretty much every single contending team won this past weekend, which is a beautiful thing to see.
That's always good.
And weirdly enough, 2 rebuild punt teams won, and I'm just like, I had a team where I only have one running back. My running back 2 is Damian Pierce, and somehow scored 218 points. So
Oh my gosh.
I looked at that score. I'm like, freaking Romeo Dubs in your 3 touchdowns. I don't want your points. Get out of here. So that team unfortunately was the 101 projected, and now just Romeo Dubs is putting that team on his back and determined to make me a top 6 pick. So
Kenny Gainwell did that for me in a few spots as well. So yeah, you're always trying to roster those handcuffs, and then they come in the game, and nobody wants to trade for them before they do anything.
Yeah,
right.
And then you're like,
so they just end up in your lineup, and then. So big thing from this weekend. I think the Giants game was obviously incredibly interesting and also very sad. Rest in peace, Malik Neighbors. Just awful. Injuries suck, man. Is there anything worse? Is there anything worse?
I hate that the NFL keeps forgetting to turn off the injury settings.
I know.
I swear they actually turn it up just for the drama.
It's freaking MetLife, like that damn turf.
The turf,
is just taking,
man, turf monster.
More
turf.
like Met no life because everybody dies on the field.
Turf monster's undefeated, man.
Yeah, exactly. But Jackson Dart looked really good. That was promising. I was obviously watching that game. It was one of the more attractive ones in the 1:00 slate, especially with Dart getting his first start. He looks cool.
Dude, it's always
honestly
the feeling of watching the rookie quarterbacks get their first start is always just so exciting.
Yeah, I can't wait for Dylan Gabriel.
You know what? I take back my statement almost immediately. You know what? Maybe let's not watch him.
Oh my god, it's an island game too because he's in London.
Maybe he'll do well. He had that the game against OSU in the playoffs where he's just like that first drive, he just like put the team on his back for that first drive and then just like got wiped out. So
yeah,
we'll see what happens. He has rushing upside. So we can't.
He does have a little bit of rushing upside.
We can't just completely disregard any quarterback that has rushing upside.
Is it like pre-concussion to a rushing upside? Like, is it like I feel like he's not.
It's like Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield kind of rushing upside. Like he has the ability to move, but he's not exactly fast. He's not going to break a 40-yard rush play. Mm-hmm. But if
he has the dog like Baker, then I'll be very excited.
He does have the moxie or the aura, whichever era of term you want to use for that.
Like, are you talking about Dylan Gabriel has aura?
Yeah. Dude, watch the OSU game in the playoffs. He was the only guy on that team that was trying to win the game.
All right, that's fair. Jackson Dart definitely has aura. I don't know how I feel about the Anakin Skywalker thing.
No, I think Dart has Riz. Is that what the kids say?
He might have.
We're trying to appeal to the Gen Z demographic right now. I think I hope it's working.
Yes. I think we lost half of our listeners in the last 2 minutes. The other big thing from the weekend is we got to talk about the Eagles' offense. This is just like an absolute disaster, and it's not for them. Right, they're 4-0. This is an insane stat. The Eagles did not complete a pass in the second half against the Bucs in a competitive game.
Yeah, it was a very
close
game.
That game was close, and they did not complete a pass. AJ Brown, I think, had 9 targets, ends up with 2 points. What is what if they're just going to continue to do what they're doing here and win games? Is there any hope for AJ Brown and Devonta Smith to be guys you can put in your lineup this year?
Dude, the only hope is that AJ Brown gets traded. Like as a guy who has AJ Brown in a few leagues, I don't know what to do with him. I can't start him. And
couldn't possibly.
No, and he's there's now like the cryptic tweets going out, kind of passive aggressive stuff. I'm kind of just hoping they trade him and he goes to a good spot. Otherwise, he's just going to ride on my bench. I can't sell him. If you're selling now, you kind of have to sell him at a loss. Yeah. And I think if he goes to another team, then his value is going to be back up to where it was before. So he's just kind of in this weird hold phase because you can't start him, you can't trade him, you're just kind of stuck with him. But I think he still has the talent. Like you saw that in the game last week.
Oh, without a doubt.
Like he's being competitive, he's physical, he's catching the ball, he's trucking people after the catch. Like he has the talent, but that offense has, I guess, just no trust in Hurts to sling the ball. And the problem is that they're winning games. Like if they were losing games, then they're like, all right, we might have to tweak our offense and actually have some passing production to take the stress off the running game. But they're winning games, so there's no reason to do that. So it's just a weird offense where any pass catchers for the Eagles, I'm just concerned for.
Except for Dallas Goedert, of course, who had a monster game.
Dude, Hurts loves Goddard.
Yeah, he does. And it's like
weirdly one of the most consistent pass catchers on that team, even though they have AJ Brown and Devontae Smith.
Yeah, and I completely agree with you that it's not a skill issue whatsoever. A lot of people would still, I think I might still have AJ Brown in the top 5 in terms of talent of wide receivers in the NFL.
Yeah.
Like he has dominated for years. And it's not a aging out thing. It's just the fact that they don't need him. And the best way for them to win games right now doesn't involve beating AJ Brown. And I think if you can't put him in your starting lineup, then what value does he have? You're right. You can't really sell him. You're not going to get the value that his potential is worth. I was able to get out of I got out of a share, I think it was after week 2, and which seems dumb because he was really bad in weeks 1 and 2. But this guy is like the biggest. Like he's one of those guys who like puts all of his takes in the sleeper chat. Like he's always, so you always know exactly how he values guys.
We love those guys.
And somebody said something bad about AJ Brown, and he was just in there defending the shit out of him. So I was like,
just like
float him an offer.
Hopping in his DMs to be like, hey,
yeah,
I've got the guy that you love. Come get him.
And this is a league with like really heavy trading, like a lot of trading.
Yeah.
And future picks get moved like crazy. I got 2 2028 firsts. I think there were a few other pieces. I can pull it up, but that was the main crux of the deal. Mm-hmm. Is that I got 2 2028 firsts for AJ Brown, and I felt fine about that.
Yeah, in my AJ Brown leagues, I feel like I'm going to be able to get a second for him, or else everyone else just is holding. Like, I've tried to move him, and I've had nothing.
Yeah, absolutely. It's there were a few other pieces. I also gave him Adonai Mitchell, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. All you can do is hold. It's like don't buy, don't sell. Or do you think that there's a world in which this changes? I'm sort of thinking no, because it's like, I would hope for a better game script where they're down or it's a more competitive game and they need to pass the ball. But
how many teams
are going
to
the Bucks?
How many teams are going to give them that kind of a game?
Yeah, exactly.
So we have Broncos coming up. They're not going to need to. Eagles, Vikings. Sorry, Giants.
They are the Eagles.
Giants.
Giants?
So their upcoming schedule is Broncos, Giants, Vikings, Giants, Packers, Lions, Cowboys. So like that's that stretch from November where they're doing Packers, Lions, Cowboys. Dude, if they don't pass in the Cowboys game, then like they're toast. Like that Cowboys offense, I think I could go in the game and throw for 300 yards against that defense. So
Yeah.
if they are not productive in that game against the Cowboys, I'm just like, well, these guys are toast. Like, there's no one no one productive here. But like their upcoming schedule, Broncos, Giants, Vikings, Giants again. For the next month, they're not going to have to throw the ball. Their defense is too good. Their defense is always going to keep them in games. And Saquon is too good. Hurts is too good rushing the ball. And none of those games are going to be a game where they need to air it out. So
yeah, and
there's going to be just
you
this
mentioned
drought
the trade
for the next month where there's going to be no passing production from them.
Yeah, and you mentioned the possibility of him being traded, which obviously everybody wants that to happen, right? That would be incredible. The problem is that I think that he's obviously not in control of that, right? And we see players request trades all the time, and I think he would, genuinely. Like, I think he cares more about... I mentioned this to you when we were talking about this earlier. Him and Jalen Hurts are such polar opposites in terms of Jalen Hurts, all you ever hear about him is that he wants to win. It's the only thing he cares about.
Yeah.
He cares about literally nothing besides winning. Whereas AJ Brown doesn't care about winning. All he wants to do is get targets. Like, he's not happy if they win. He famously, after the Super Bowl, said he didn't feel anything. Like, it's like... So, but he is still very valuable to the Eagles, even in this role where he's not producing. Like, I remember it was opening night against the Cowboys. He didn't have a target until, like, the last drive. But it was, like, the game-sealing... had to have it. It was like one catch for 8 yards to get a first down to end it or whatever. Yeah. It was a really big play. They value him so much in those situations. Whereas if they moved off him, eventually they're going to need somebody for that.
Problem is they're hardly ever in those situations.
It's true. It's true. I just worry that they'll find a way to make him begrudgingly stay instead of move off of him, because it doesn't make sense for them to trade him. Like, they don't need draft picks. They don't need...
Yeah, I mean,
I think the team is too strong. Well, yeah, and the team is too strong and put together, and the culture is too good for them to allow a diva wide receiver to infiltrate that and piss everybody off. Like, I just don't think that'll happen. I don't think he'll get to the point where he's so much of an annoyance that they have to move off of him.
On the flip side, do you think they get to the point where they move him because they don't need him? Like, clearly they don't need the passing game. They don't need AJ Brown. They have guys like Jahan Dotson behind him, who was also a first-round pick. They have the depth at wide receiver. So the only thing I could think of is they do move him because they don't need him. And if he is having attitude and being a distraction in the locker room, then it makes the door out pretty easy for them, because they don't a lot of diva wide receivers, teams put up with them because they need them. But the Eagles are showing us they don't need AJ Brown. And AJ Brown's contract is pretty enticing for a team. There's an out for the Eagles next year, but other than that, he's on for a $22 million cap hit for next year. Which if I'm a team that's like competing, 28-year-old wide receiver for $23 million, like AJ Brown's talent, like, that's a steal.
Yeah, I mean, I can absolutely see how it would be enticing. Again, I think, like, and obviously this is all speculation and I know absolutely nothing, but I would worry that he's not the type, like, he's not like Jamar Chase where he's complaining to the media. He's like saying, oh, whatever, quiet in the locker room, and then he goes and posts some song lyric or poem on Twitter. Dude, right, exactly.
AJ Brown is just all of us from middle school.
Oh my God, yeah, completely, exactly, yeah, 100%. Though, if you know, yeah, the real ones know that's AJ Brown. But yeah, like, I just think that, I guess, and again, like, I don't know anything, I don't know what happens in the locker room, obviously, but I could just see it where nobody else is affected. Like, that team is so strong, and the culture that Sirianni has built is so prominent that they're like, oh, let AJ Brown have his little crybaby moment. Let him pout or whatever he's doing, and we'll go win games. And he can read books on the sideline. And thing is, they may not need him now, but I imagine they'll want him in the Super Bowl. They will be better in the Super Bowl, and they will be better in the playoffs with AJ Brown. And so,
don't the Eagles always find ways to create drama during the season? I feel like the last 2 years, it's Sirianni's going to get canned because they're starting off kind of slow, and AJ Brown always kind of works his way into that drama cycle.
It took a while, but Nick Sirianni he's just a good football coach. Yeah. Like he's not very likable, but there comes a point where credit is due. And he is obviously very good at what he does.
Didn't it happen last year where AJ Brown had the drama and then he went on his whole character arc of reading on the sidelines and introspective books kind of stuff?
I think it was a playoff game where, if I'm remembering correctly, I think it was a playoff game where he had the book on the sideline and then the camera caught it and then it went crazy on Twitter.
Yeah.
But then he showed that he had done that in several other games. And one game when he had produced, I don't remember that exactly correctly. It is a little fun. It was like a self-help book too.
Yeah.
Like it was like just the whole situation was kind of funny. Like, okay, you could be like watching film trying to get produced more, but instead you're reading a book. Yeah, it was a little, but no, you're right. The Eagles are always involved in whatever drama's happening.
Why break down footage of the coverage against you when you can read a little self-help book?
Yeah, exactly. So main thing we want to talk about on today's show, we're going to talk about some of the biggest risers and fallers in their dynasty values over the first 4 weeks of the season. I think we have enough of a sample size and we know enough about what these teams look like. Enough has changed. Some backfields getting shaken up, maybe. Things like that, where we can make definitive statements about certain dynasty values. Obviously, the biggest thing through the football season with dynasty is how fluid everything is and how much things can change. Values can rise and fall like crazy over 1 week, right? And so we try to stay water as much as possible and try not to overreact to things. But these are some reactions that we believe are justified. So Tags has brought several risers. I've been negative, and I've brought some fallers for us today. But why don't you kick us off?
Someone's got to be the optimistic one here.
Exactly. There you go. Yeah, no optimism on my side. It is gloom.
The first riser I have is Woody Marks. He had his breakout game this past week. It's interesting because he was drafted in the 4th round in pretty much every single dynasty draft I was a part of, and didn't nearly get enough of them. And this week, I tried to trade in almost every single league, at least every league where I need like a valuable flex piece. The offers I sent out this week were a second for Woody Marks, 2/3, another 2/3, one was a third and a fourth, and then another was a late second. All 4 of those offers got shut down, which I thought was pretty interesting. Given that he was drafted at like the 408 in a couple of leagues, he was at the 406 one league. So it's interesting that people are seeing the clear value where it's like, okay, I drafted in the 4th. I could get cash out and get a gain of a second for a 4th round pick, which is a pretty good return on it. And they're like, no, I'd rather hold. And I got shut down in every single league trying to buy him. So this past week, he put up 27.9 points, 69 yards and a touchdown on the ground, 50 yards and a touchdown in the air. We love that split. It's kind of an Alvin Kamara kind of split. And he, going back to the draft, the Texans traded up in the 4th to grab him, which I'm kind of making a mental note. whenever a team does that to trade up to grab a running back, especially in that third or fourth round range, because you see it pay off so many times. Kyren Williams is like the best comparison I have for Woody Marks, because the Rams also traded up in the fifth to grab him. And they both kind of comp out to the same player. Kyren Williams is 5'9", 200 pounds. Woody Marks is 5'10", 207. But Marks is quite a bit faster, a little bit more explosive than Kyren is. Kind of comps out to my draft comp for him was James White. As a former Patriots fan, James White was this guy that was like small, pretty sturdy built, amazing pass catcher. And if we saw this past week that Woody Marks like actually looked pretty decent in between the tackles too, which was my main concern for him. So we don't know if or when Joe Mixon is coming back. It's been like weirdly doom and gloom from his entire side of the camp. So
I mean, it's sounding like he's not going to play football this year.
That's what it sounds like, or at least it's very unlikely that he does. So I think Woody Marks is going to finish at least in like the high upside RB2, given the fact that this is kind of his backfield. I think Chubb is still going to be involved, obviously, but Marks has shown to be just like such a good weapon in both the ground and the air that even if it comes into next year and they draft a running back, I'm not that worried, because I think he has a clear defined role for him that's going to be productive assuming he doesn't take the Kyren Williams jump where he becomes a bell cow. Even if he stays in that kind of James White role where he's on the field for all the third downs, he's taking draw plays, he's getting 10 to 15 carries and 5 to 6 catches a game. Like, that's a very valuable role to have. So
absolutely,
he's had a huge jump in value, and I'm not sure what I don't think I can get up to the first range yet, but. I haven't been able to get him for a second, which I thought was really interesting because people value him pretty highly, clearly.
Well, I also think that this is the most difficult week to value Woody Marks. It's the most difficult week to trade for him, and it's the most difficult week to trade him away, because Justice Hill also scored 26 points, right? And we know that Justice Hill isn't very good. So it's like trying to balance, is it a flash in the pan? Should I get out? And a lot of people just don't have enough conviction to make a move. Like, I'm sure there are people out there who don't really think Woody Marks is very good. They think Joe Mixon is going to come back, and so they would take a second, right?
Yeah.
Take that 2-round value jump that they gained from drafting him to now and just run with it.
If they're in a league with me, send me that offer.
There you go. But there's others that don't feel as confident in their evaluation of him, and so they kind of just want to stay pat, not move. It's like JCM. Like, Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt went on the trade block in every single Dynasty league that you are in, that I am in, that anybody is in. He went on every single trade block. How many times did he actually get moved? I moved him in one league, but he was like a tiny piece of an enormous deal where I acquired Jaden Daniels.
Yeah.
I don't think
I
saw him get moved anywhere else.
I cashed out on him in a league for a projected like top 3 second-round pick. So it should be a 201, 202, 203 range.
Yeah. And so I was talking to some people, and like I was talking to name drop Zach Savage of Fantasyland, and he was saying my only worry is what if he's like Isaiah Pacheco? Like, what if he has that sort of rookie season and he skyrockets in value, and then he's worth like a mid to late first, and nobody wants to move him because of that possibility. And I think Woody Marks is a similar thing, where I talked about this on an earlier episode, where it's like, don't sell these rookies too early. Like, just be patient with them, because I sold Puka Nacua for Rashad White after his first ever game. So it's like, I think it's a weird time to trade for Woody Marks. I absolutely agree with you. That his value has risen quite a bit. Joe Mixon, it doesn't currently look like he's going to play football, and even if he does, what capacity is that in? If he comes in week 13 and he hasn't played a snap, he hasn't practiced all year, what does that even look like?
And if he comes in with Wood, I think that bodes worse for Chubb. I think Marks has a clear defined role in the passing game that I think he's a step up from Mixon in that way. So I think he still has production and is still kind of carved out a role for him there. Also,
well, the thing with Marks is that he was a receiving back. Like, he was a receiving back in like, that was his main draw coming out of the draft. And the fact that he got so much work, like, between the tackles, lots of carries this week, was something I did not expect, and huge for him.
Also, Marks is like, dude, he's so fun to watch in pass protection.
He's a dog.
He's a small dude, but he's like blowing up linebackers who are getting through the hole, and he's just like, nope, not on my watch.
And they need it. Like, they need it. The Texans, I don't know, did you see the Jeffrey Simmons play, the fastest sack in the last 10 years? Did you see this?
I did not.
So you're gonna have to look this up after we're done. Like, so basically, Jeff Simmons and it's James Lynch is the other defensive tackle on the Titans. I think it's James. And basically, Simmons is lined up over the right guard. Okay? Ball is snapped. The right guard immediately blocks his own right tackle.
It's a bold strategy.
And then all three...
See if it pays off for him.
All three of the other linemen, the center, the left guard, and the left tackle, and the running back and pass pro. I don't think it was Woody Marks. It might have been. I don't know. Not his fault, probably.
For the sake of our take, let's just say it's not Woody Marks.
Yeah, it was Nick Chubb. Okay.
Yeah.
Four guys all blocked James Lynch, the other defensive tackle, and Jeff Simmons had a straight line to C.J. Stroud, and C.J. Stroud was under center. So he just, as soon as C.J. Stroud had the ball, Simmons wrapped him up, dropped him. It was like a 0.8 like seconds sack. It was insane. And then I just saw this meme. It was like, when you won't let 94, which is James Lynch, ruin your day. It was just like four guys block him.
Like, he will not beat us.
But like, the Texans need somebody like that. Like, he's going to get on the field purely because of pass pro, because their offensive line is just absolutely abysmal.
Yeah.
And I do think if somebody's willing to sell him for a second, mid-late, even if it's an early one, like, I would definitely try and grab him, because I think his value will continue to go up. He'll continue to be that check down for CJ Stroud. It seems like they trust him, and this is what we want to see, right? That continued increase in snaps over the first few weeks. And this could easily be the blow up that leads to a huge rookie year for him.
So their upcoming schedule is the Ravens, Seahawks, 49ers, Broncos. It's not really a cakewalk schedule. So I think there's going to be some windows of opportunity to buy him there, especially if he comes out, puts up, 4 or 5 points, puts up 20 yards and a few catches against the Ravens. Then you might see a couple of those owners panicking that they didn't sell this past week and be able to take that Marks for a second or Marks for 2/3 kind of offer. So I'm kind of watching him this week, kind of see what he does, and hoping he puts up a bit of a dud. That way I can kind of jump in and see if they take my original offer from last week.
Yeah, I like that. I think that how I sort of approach rookie drafts in the late rounds is almost always targeting running backs who were drafted on day 3 with some sort of semblance of opportunity. Right? So I had...
because we see it every year too.
Yeah, I had a decent amount of Bucky Irving because Rachaad White was inefficient. Tyrone Tracy, similarly, I had a bunch of Tyrone Tracy because of Devin Singletary ahead of him. And this offseason, because around draft season, we didn't really know about the Joe Mixon stuff, I didn't draft a lot of Woody Marks because I was like, okay, he's going to be a third down back. behind a bell cow in Joe Mixon.
Yeah.
And so I didn't end up grabbing a lot of him, but I did grab a lot of JCM. And I feel with my JCM shares right now where it's like, God, I should have gotten out. And I think that if there's a few down games from Marks, or if like maybe it's the game script and they knew that they weren't really blowing the Titans out for very much of that game. Like they had 9 points going into the fourth quarter, but they knew that they were dominating and that there wasn't really a threat. And maybe that's why he got more work. And so maybe he gets less. And so I think that you're right. There should be an opportunity here to buy if it falls a little bit, and you're confident that he will have the full role going forward, or at least the productive role. And so yeah, like I think that
we see this
sense.
every year with Kyren, Bucky. A lot of these late round running backs that kind of pick up and to kind of take over and carve out a role. I think what we've talked about in past episodes is when you're looking at a player, combining the skill plus opportunity equals production. And we see that with here. Like a lot of people didn't draft Marks because they're like, oh, Mixon is there. Damian Pierce is there. There's just a lot of people to fight through. And then it turns out that Mixon's just gone. So
yeah,
so it's hard to predict this one, but a lot of the guys, like you mentioned, Bucky last year, same with Tyrone Tracy, you can see the clear path for production. So I think it's important to see that when you're looking at these prospects during draft season, making sure they have a clear path for production. Chase Brown was the same way. You saw that, like, they had Zach Moss in front of them. So if there's anything I've taken from these kind of players breaking out, it's that in draft season, if I see a middle of the road running back in front of them, I'm scooping him up. It doesn't matter what draft capital they had. If it's a third round, fourth round, fifth round, whatever, I'm trying to scoop up all these running backs that have a clear path for opportunity.
Yeah, especially this past year when there were so many running backs drafted. Like, it's like trying to parse through, like, Scadaboo and Tootin, they were like late second round picks because it was like there was clear opportunity and the running back class was supposed to be great and all this kind of stuff. But then there was a lot of guys that fell later, like a JCM, like a Woody Marks, like Brashard Smith, who I like as a stash right now, given how awful Pacheco and Kareem Hunt look.
Yeah.
Right? So we'll definitely get into that again in draft season. And I got to say, I am so pumped for the off season to be doing this podcast with how into it I get and all this kind of stuff. I'm just so excited for free agency and the draft and everything when we get there.
Yeah, I'm hyped for our first rookie off season. It's gonna be a good one.
Oh, it's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. Who's your next riser?
Next riser is Mason Taylor. And this is a player who I showed you the receipts so I can back this up.
Yeah.
And you even made a comment in one of our drafts. You're like, "Huh, you're really high on Mason Taylor, huh?"
See, it was
you're taking
in the middle of May.
Every single draft.
And it's like every draft. It's like, God, Tags keeps grabbing Mason Taylor.
Dude, every time I hit like the 206 and Mason Taylor is still on the board, I scooped in every single draft to snag him.
Every time.
He was my third favorite tight end, but behind Loveland Warren. But really, the difference between he was kind of in his own little tier directly behind them, and then everyone else was behind Taylor. I thought that Taylor was going to get first round draft capital. He gets early second. It's close enough.
There was some buzz for sure.
Good enough for me, but he's super young. Has the receiving profile that you look for in a tight end. And he's just so well-rounded. I mean, he already has taken over the tight end 1 job by training camp. And that was a nice note that I saw. Like, in training camp, he's already running with the ones. He immediately slotted in as a 1. And you see a lot of rookie tight ends kind of need a bit of a ramp up. to start working in with the ones, and he just immediately jumped in. And you're kind of seeing that offense with Justin Fields. We love a good funnel offense. Like,
they can move the ball a little bit. They can move the ball a little bit.
They can move the ball. You won't get 300 yards passing, but you know what? If you get 150 to 200 yards that are all condensed into 2 to 3 players, I love that.
I think I should be banned from Justin Fields conversations for the foreseeable future. I think you cannot convince me a bad thing about that man.
That's me and QJ.
Oh my gosh. Like, I don't know, it's because I drafted him everywhere in redraft or what, but like, and he had that huge game against the Steelers in week 1, but I just love him. He's so fun to watch. Like, and he has those boneheaded moments in him, but I think he could, with how they're able to run the ball, hopefully Braylon Allen, the injury isn't too serious, but with how they're able to run the ball, I think that he can absolutely support Garrett Wilson and Mason Taylor as viable fantasy options. Like, Mason Taylor could emerge as I doubt he gets to like start every week caliber in year 1. Tight ends famously, they take some time to come on, right? But I think by the end of the year, he could absolutely be a very viable streaming option in good matchups. And that's ideal heading into year 2. So I really like this take.
Yeah, we kind of already see him being the second receiving option in that offense.
Yeah, I mean, they have nothing else.
Yeah, they have Garrett Wilson, who's going to get his volume. He's going to get his production. And then after that, in the receiving end, it's dump offs to Hall. So I
honestly don't remember, like, watching that Monday night game, I do not remember another receiver having a catch. Like, I don't remember seeing Josh Reynolds. I don't remember seeing Tyler Johnson.
I remember looking at the box score, and it was just like Wilson, Hall, Taylor, and then just like nothing.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what you want. This is what we want for fantasy, right? We don't want them to be spreading it all over the place. The other thing, I looked at the Broncos box score from the game against the Bengals. Dude, like 13 different guys caught a pass.
Oh my gosh, that's the opposite of what we like. And they're also not putting up the 300 yards of like passing that we want. So
yeah. Bo Nix had a good day. He threw 2 touchdowns and ran for another one. But yeah, no, he wasn't throwing it. Like, he was throwing it to everybody, but he didn't put up an insane stat line.
The box from the Jets versus Dolphins game. There's Garrett Wilson, 82 yards, 6 catches. Breece Hall, 30 yards, 5 catches. Mason Taylor, 65 yards, 5 catches. Jeremy Ruckert with 1 catch for 23 yards.
Okay.
Alan Lazard,
Ohio State legend.
Alan Lazard sighting.
Oh God, he's still there.
Yeah, 1 catch for 8 yards. And then Isaiah Davis, 2 catches for 18 yards. And I actually like Isaiah Davis if Braylon Allen is going to be missing some time, because he's a pretty good pass catcher also, and has been effective running the ball. I think they just like loaded up with those 2. I think they took him back to back in that NFL draft also.
Yeah, and Breece has been obviously great, but they do still want to mix it up. Like that first drive that ended with the Braylon Allen fumble, it was like Breece carry, Braylon carry, Breece carry.
Oh my gosh, it's so annoying.
Isaiah Davis got a goal line carry, and I was like, what is going on? Like they just want, they do want to keep those guys fresh and mix it up. So I think that if Braylon Allen is out for an extended period of time, that Isaiah Davis he could be on some waivers in Dynasty. Would definitely check it out and see if you can pick him up.
So I got Davis in 2 leagues on waivers, and then 1 in a redraft. So he's available, and he should definitely be rostered if he is available in your league.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah,
Mason Taylor. I like
Taylor. Love his receiving profile. I loved his draft profile coming out. He was essentially right behind Loveland, and him and Loveland were like a 1A, 1B to me. Like if they took Mason Taylor there in the first, I'd be like sick. I could have easily seen Taylor working his way above him. So Love him. I have him in like 70% of my leagues, and you guys will never take him from me. Don't even try to send an offer.
So yeah, early first projected is the price now.
At multiples.
Multiple early firsts. Yeah, exactly. You got one more riser?
I have one more, and that's Drake May. And obviously there's a little bit of a Patriots homerism here. But I infamously can separate my love of my team from fantasy. Makes no difference on me. I go for value. But May stuck out to me because he's been incredibly efficient and productive with limited volume. You see him past 3 games, he's had a 75 completion percentage with 2 touchdowns in each game. Last game he went for 3 touchdowns because he had one on the one rushing. And if he does that again this next week against the Bills, then he's going to tie Tom Brady's all-time record as the only other player that's done that. So I like the throwback to him and Brady coming in as his heir apparent. And he sits at QB4 overall. He's got the rushing upside that we were looking for in a quarterback. I think he can only get better. He's still adopting Vrabel and McDaniel's offensive game plan. It's still pretty early for him. And Diggs is finally gaining momentum. Henderson should be more involved going forward. Vrabel just loves Ramondre, and even 2 fumbles can't deter him from giving him touches. And I think we start to see this offense kind of gel even more than it already has. So if he keeps up this production, he's going to move into the Allen, Daniels, Lamar, Hurts, Burrow tier, because he's the exact kind of quarterback that wins you leagues that we're looking for. He can rush for 400, 500 yards in a season. He can get those rushing touchdowns. And we've seen him be efficient and productive with his passing, putting up QB1 numbers pretty consistently this year. And an offense that has very few weapons.
That's what I was going to say.
Stock up this offseason, get him A.J. Brown from the Eagles. I'm manifesting it right here.
Oh my gosh. To tie reunited with Vrabel.
Yeah, to tie in our point earlier with the Eagles trading A.J. Brown. Get him an A.J. Brown. Get him an elite wide receiver to lean on that can get open consistently instead of Diggs, who is well past his prime.
Well, for the past 2 years, the year that they drafted May, there was Marvin Harrison Jr. rumors. And then this past year, there was so much buzz about Tedero McMillan to the Patriots.
Yeah.
I think it was the 4th overall pick. They end up going with the left tackle, Will Campbell. But this team needs an alpha wide receiver. They need an alpha target for him. They should have the running back of the future with Travion. But to your point, this offense can really only get better, you would think. And the fact that he's putting up top 5 quarterback numbers through 4 weeks without much help. Diggs finally looked like he had some life this past week. But with, he's working with Kayshon Boutte and Hunter Henry and whatever, it can really only get better in terms of what's surrounding Drake May, and the fact that he's already doing this without that is huge. I know a lot of people were high on him this offseason because he showed that rushing upside and he looked good at the end of last year. But I think you're absolutely right. He will be a minimum early 2nd round pick in startups this coming off season. I think people might be worried about the solidity of that offense or the consistency that you aren't worried about with a Hurts or a Daniels or a Lamar, because he may not rush for as much as those guys do, but I think he will definitely be close to that tier, if not in it. He was really good running the ball, and that was part of his profile coming out of college, that he would do that a little bit. It's kind of like what you're seeing with Justin Herbert a little bit this year. That he's not as I don't think he's as built out as Herbert, but he's tall and runs kind of funny. I guess. But he moves. Like, Drake May can move. And if he can, I know he was taking a few bad hits last year. He seemed to clean that up a little bit. One of my worries is if Josh McDaniels, I don't know how much I trust him, but if they're playing well and winning games, then there's nothing to complain about.
Yeah, and we saw him do this last year where he put up those QB1 numbers in a handful of those games, and we kind of saw that. Mm-hmm. So we saw the flashes last year, and now we see it kind of more consistently coming out of him. So
yeah, absolutely.
He's I've definitely seen him gain a lot of value so far this year.
Yeah, I really like it. Those rushing, even if it's just a little bit of rushing, is huge for those guys.
Those quarterbacks that can put up those 400 to 500 yards rushing, like, they're not game breakers like Lamar or Jaden Daniels, but they provide such a safe, consistent production floor where even if the passing game isn't on that week, there's still going to be a reliable start, rather than a guy like Tua or Goff who can just kind of put up like, oh, here's a 6-point game, here's an 8-point game. That just low rushing baseline just gives you that kind of buffer between those bad games.
Yeah. We're gonna have to get I'm gonna need a jar over here that I put $1 into every time I mention Justin Fields. But this is why I liked Justin Fields so much, is because that 5-point floor when he gives you those 50 rushing yards every game is it's such a nice little bump that you don't need. Like, that's what you want. You don't want these duds of 5 points. I mean, we're not going to talk about the Bills game, but he didn't play the whole thing. If he played the fourth quarter, he would have easily scored 15 fantasy points. And you'll never be able to prove me wrong. So, but May gives you that floor the same way that Fields does, and I really like him for that reason. You said that you weren't being a homer, and I believe you. You weren't being a homer. Drake May is a great pick. I'm going to be the opposite of a homer with two of my fallers. That's because the Titans might be the worst football team that I've ever watched in my entire life.
Here comes the Debbie Downer section of the podcast.
They are a disgrace to the sport.
Wow.
The worst coach team I've ever seen in my life. I cannot believe that it's Wednesday of going into week 5 and Brian Callahan still has a job. Calvin Ridley and Tony Pollard. When you have these older veterans, I'll start with Calvin Ridley. You cannot possibly put him in your lineup. There is no semblance of production here. There doesn't seem to be any hope of production here. He's 29 years old. He might be 30. You can't put him in your lineup. What value could he possibly hold? And I honestly, even with a coaching change, I don't see it getting much better. You hope that it does, and this isn't a trade for him. It should get better. This isn't a trade him away. You couldn't possibly get anything. But this is just a faller. He came into the year as, it's like a veteran receiver who you might be able to put in your flex, like a Deebo Samuel or Terry McLaurin. These types of guys where they're aging out. Maybe you can acquire them for a second and they can help you on a competing roster. I mean, that second that you paid for Calvin Ridley, you basically might as well have thrown it in the garbage. And I can't see us going into next year with any optimism. I think this team will continue to want to add weapons around Cam Ward, and Calvin Ridley will just sort of fall by the wayside. Like, it's just it's so upsetting. And with Tony Pollard, similarly, he's putting up like 10 PPR points per game, which is at the end of the world. Like, if you're in like a start 11 where it's like 3 wide receivers, 3 flex, okay, you can throw him in a flex and maybe he'll get you 10 points. Yeah. But Tajay Spears just finished his 4-week stint on the IR. He's going to come in. They like Tajay a lot. Like, Tony Pollard was attractive the first few weeks because he was on the field for 90% of the snaps. I guarantee you that will not happen if Tajay Spears is healthy. So, awful offense. Looks like a coaching change is coming. He has a running back behind him that is coming back. If you can get out of Tony Pollard, I think possibly you could, because he's like, if somebody in your league is just looking at the points per game and is just looking at the box score and they're like, okay, he's throwing up 10 points, I'll pay a late second for that, I would get out, because he's not the long-term plan. This offensive line is horrible. The scheme is bad. And I don't want to talk about this team anymore. I think I'm done. I don't know why I did this.
Why would you bring this pain upon yourself?
Oh my gosh.
I have Ridley on quite a few contending teams because he was a good buy this offseason. I thought he was a good buy.
He was a good buy.
He was like, yeah, I can get him for a couple thirds or a late second. I figured this would be a funnel offense where it kind of force feeds production to Ridley. Kind of like a Garrett Wilson situation if we're going to compare it back to the Jets.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And it just like hasn't been there, hasn't happened. And I've got Ward in a few leagues. I'm not panicking yet, but I'm concerned.
I'm not worried about Cam. I'm not. I think that he's going to be fine. It's the situation could not be much worse. Like, the line still sucks. We've been without JC Latham for a few games. It's just it hasn't looked good. The run game, we haven't really been able to get the run game going. I do think that he's looked good in certain moments, but he's very much like this big play hunter kind of thing. Reminded me a lot of Jordan Love coming out of college. And I just think those guys, you need the right situation, and he just doesn't have the protection. He doesn't have the time in the pocket. He's taking a lot of sacks, and clearly Ridley isn't the safety valve that you would have hoped for a rookie quarterback.
And to be fair,
I'm not panicking on Cam.
To be fair, I blame Cam Ward for all of this by saying that Calvin Ridley is the best wide receiver in the league.
That was hilarious when he was playing Fortnite or whatever. His top two running backs were Tony Pollard and Tajay Spears.
Yeah,
before the draft.
Dude, I kind of like it for the team, but
it was funny. It was funny.
Treylon Burks, wide receiver 5 in the NFL.
Oh my Treylon Burks. Thank God he's gone.
Maybe that should have been the red flag that I saw to begin with. But I saw him touting Ridley as the wide receiver 1, so I'm like, oh, this guy's gonna force feed Ridley so many targets. Nope.
Yeah, and everything out of camp was like, Calvin Ridley is gonna be huge for Cam, and I was really excited about him in fantasy. I really was. I took him in a lot of best ball. And it's just, there's a lot of, there's those notions of a rookie quarterback can't support a wide receiver 1. And obviously Daniels did it with Terry last year, but that's rare. And I wasn't expecting Ridley to, score 11 touchdowns or whatever Terry did, but I was expecting him to be a lot better than this. And right now, he's droppable in redraft leagues. And maybe with a coaching change, it gets better. But I would not count on it, and his value has absolutely plummeted. Moving off of the Titans.
Thank God, get us out of here.
Yeah, I get it. Well, I'm not moving to a much better situation.
I'm tired of this, Grandpa.
This might be a worse situation for listeners. Obviously, the Titans is awful for me. Everybody else can laugh at me. But moving over to the Bengals, Chase Brown is a massive faller for me. And the reason for that is, unlike T. Higgins and Jamar Chase, I don't think he has the long-term hold on his role and his value. Whereas T. Higgins is going to be T. Higgins next year when Joe Burrow is back and whatever, right? With Chase Brown, you can't start either of them right now, T. Higgins or Chase Brown, but with Chase Brown, the attraction was that he had the full workload, nobody behind him, no competition in the backfield, in a top 3 offense in the league. That was the attraction for Chase Brown. Not that he's this incredible athlete, not that he's this incredible prospect. He was a day 3 pick for a reason. We talked about this when I said that I was excited to watch him this year, right? And that I had acquired a bunch of shares. But with Burrow gone, that appeal has completely gone out the window. Now he's just an average running back on a bottom 10 offense in the league.
Man,
and you don't like
his yards per rush is so gross. It's
really bad.
2 yards per rush, 2.9 per carry, 0.3 per carry.
It was 10 against the Vikings. It was 10 carries for 3 yards. With Burrow there,
he's also not getting the receiving production. He's getting a few catches a game, but like 8 yards, 18 yards, 17 yards, 31 against the Denver. So that's something, I guess. but
with Burrow there, there's the threat of the deep pass. There's this high-flying passing attack that allows the run game to be successful. But the offensive line is terrible, and defenses aren't scared of Jake Browning because they shouldn't be.
Yeah.
I'm dying for the Bengals to make a change here because he has looked awful. He came in against the Jags, and he was fine. And Jamar Chase had like 160 yards. But the past 2 games, he has looked abysmal. Like the worst quarterback in the entire league. And it wasn't that way when he came in a few years ago when Burrow had the wrist thing. Jake Browning looked fine.
He averaged.
Now he just looks terrible.
He averaged a QB1 production when he came in for Burrow 2 years ago.
Yeah, and I'm dying for them to make a move for Kirk Cousins if that's possible or something.
I think Joe Flacco might be available.
Or like Jameis. Like, can the Bengals trade for Jameis?
Dude, at least
he's the QB3.
At least then the Bengals will be fun.
Yeah, that's all we want. That's all I want.
Yeah.
And the thing with Chase Brown is that he next year is going into year 4, right? Teams plan ahead. They're not going to wait until Chase Brown is gone to try and replace him. And I don't know if he's good enough of a talent to earn a extension
contract.
Right? And so I'd be very worried this offseason that he will be replaced coming off a really bad year where the offense looked terrible and they realize, now we got to invest in this position because just having Chase Brown, our floor was not high enough. And so I'm very worried. I've tried to move him in a few places. Obviously, it's disgusting to trade for any Cincinnati Bengals right now.
Yeah.
Unless it's like Joe Burrow on a rebuilding team. But I worry about the job security. And he could be one of those guys who sort of was a flash in a pan in a really good situation last year, and he kind of fades out, which is so unfortunate because I was just absolutely all in, and we'll never know if that was the correct stance to take because Burrow's hurt.
I will say this: it looks like the running back class this upcoming year is going to be pretty weak. So I'm not super concerned about it. But you see guys Breece Hall needs a contract. What if he hits?
Yeah,
what if he
free
goes
agents,
to free agency? And Breece Hall's just a way better Chase Brown.
I mean, yeah, there's no doubt. I don't think there's any doubt that he's more talented, right? And Chase Brown's attraction was the workload.
Yeah.
And he still has it, but it's in an awful offense, just absolutely terrible. They can't do anything. And maybe I can take some solace and say, okay, it was the Vikings and then it was the Broncos. 2 very good defenses. 2 defenses that make it very difficult on opposing quarterbacks. When Browning came in against the Jags, he looked fine. Maybe it gets better. I don't know what the matchup is this week. But I'm trying to move him with his value holding. I'm not selling him at a huge loss here. I'd rather just keep him and hope that I can throw him in my starting lineup at some point. What's the matchup?
Lions. And guess who's the week after that? Packers. That offensive line's gonna get wrecked.
Okay, I'm gonna make a note. Week 7 by Chase Brown. No, I'm completely kidding. Don't do that.
I mean, he's got Steelers after that.
It's really sad. Yeah, it's absolutely brutal. I'm I'm sad. It's so frustrating. You go all in on a guy and then it just completely falls apart. I got some teams where I'm like, do I start Nick Chubb this week or Chase Brown? And that's not easy.
And in 2025, they just like, that's like what I wake up to in the middle of the night having a nightmare about.
Oh my gosh.
Just
yeah, I think I would
have and be like, oh God, that was the worst. I had a nightmare, babe. What was it? I had to choose between Nick Chubb or Chase Brown.
Yeah.
and it's not a clear Chase Brown pick.
Yeah. But you know what? I hope that the audience appreciates that I'm coming on here and being so candid about my misfortune.
Yeah.
I hope people enjoy that.
I mean, gotta own up to it sometimes. I would also, but exactly. I mean, my Quentin Johnson take is skyrocketing. So
unbelievable.
I will find a way to victory lap about it every week until he has a bad game, which is never, because he's unstoppable. No.
It's okay because Justin Fields is going to siphon all of Chase Brown's production, and Justin Fields is going to finish as a top 3 quarterback. That's what's going to happen.
That's what's happening here.
And then when he ends up at the 1-2 turn in startups like he did in 2023, I'm just going to sell all of it.
I think you're onto something because my other buy at the beginning of the season with Quentin Johnston was Austin Eckler. I think QJ stole Austin Eckler's powers. Same with Fields taking Chase Brown's. Okay.
Yeah. So we're onto something here. This is good. This is better than the nickname stuff.
So next, the memes write themselves with this podcast.
Exactly.
So next year when we do our buyers, I just know one of them's gonna just like the injury turf monster is gonna get them, and then the other is gonna skyrocket. They just siphon.
Yeah. Okay. So before we get out of here, we have 2 more little things that we want to talk about. I know, Tags, you had a little buy, sell, hold.
I have
that you want a question that you wanted to.
I'm in a quandary. I think I'm trying to expand the vocabulary of the podcast, and I hope that was the correct usage of it. That I think a lot of people are having, which is what to do with neighbors. And I've got 2 offers currently sitting in my inbox in 2 different leagues. One is one I've talked with you about because I was like, Sammy, help, which was Egbuka in May. I would be sending away Egbuka in May for Trevor Lawrence, neighbors, and 2 seconds. And then I have another league where it's basically neighbors for Odunze straight up. And I've noticed this little value triangle currently of neighbors, Egbuka, and Odunze. They're all just kind of, especially with neighbors with the injury, and Egbuka he's currently wide receiver 8, Odunze wide receiver 4. They're just kind of all there clumped in a group, and I feel like they're all interchangeable. So I was curious for you, what's your buy, sell, and hold between neighbors, Egbuka, and Odunze?
Gosh.
Right?
It's really hard.
It's hard. It's tough.
So the in-season valuations are so difficult because so much can change week to week, like I mentioned earlier. And this one's especially hard because you have 2 breakouts, and then you have a guy who tore his ACL.
Yeah.
But it's early enough in the season that I think neighbors would definitely be on track to be ready for training camp of 2026.
It was also a non-contact injury, which is pretty huge for that. That means less force on the ACL tear. It's usually when you see non-contact ACL tears, that's usually best case scenario because it means it's usually a clean tear that is easier to come back from. So I'm not very worried. Typically, ACL injuries, when they come back, is usually a 4 to 5 game ramp up where they slowly ramp up their snap percentage. But if I'm in pretty much every single rebuild league I'm in, I sent offers out for neighbors, and almost all of them came back with that same kind of trade-off where it's like, send me back Igbuka, send me back Odunze, one of those other young wide receivers that have popped. So it's been interesting trying to figure out the order of those. And I still need need to hear your buy, hold, sell.
I have it.
I'm so intrigued by
it. Currently, and it's just like a 1, 2, 3, right? You have the fun words associated with them, but it doesn't necessarily mean I would be selling.
It's like mini game time.
Yeah, exactly. So I would be buying Malik Neighbors. I'd be holding Igbuka, and I would sell Rome Odunze. And the reason for this is, I think Igbuka and Odunze are so close. Gosh, that's so hard. That's the hard part. I think Odunze and Igbuka, I think if I drew up some Dynasty rankings right now, I think they would be back-to-back. And I'd probably slightly have Igbuka ahead, just because I like the fact that he did it in year 1.
Yeah.
And there's more of a shelf life for his value there. Odunze has caught 5 touchdowns in 4 games. Igbuka has 4, so it's not a huge disparity, but we could see that regress a little bit. I am more confident in the Buccaneers offense than I am in the Bears currently. I think with Godwin and Mike Evans obviously with the hamstring injury again, both of them are aging out. You know, the Bears, they have Loveland there who should come on a little bit. They also drafted Luther Burden. Honestly, it's so close. I think I would take Igbuka over Odunze just because of the situation and the weapons around him long term, right? But with Neighbors, I mean, he's put up already a wide receiver 1 season on an abysmal offense. The target share numbers like we've never seen before. And I think he is just a much better talent. Jackson Dart looked good in his first start as well. So that's where I would be with that. With your 2 offers, like I would take Malik Neighbors over Odunze, but I would try and get more because I would just say to the guy, hey, you're getting the production. I'm getting a guy to throw my IR slot
on the year. The biggest problem, which might lead into your talking point, is that Odunze has 5 touchdowns in 4 games. Yeah. That's a pace that's just not sustainable. But it's interesting to see like their production profiles so far in the year are just so identical. Like Igbuka is 18 for 282 and 4, and Odunze is 20 for 296 and 5. So
it's very, very close.
I think personally, I'm buying Neighbors, holding Odunze, selling Igbuka. Just because I was really high on Odunze in that draft.
That's fine. I
just loved his draft profile coming out and kind of valued him the same as Neighbors. So I think I just have to stick to my draft profile as so kind of the tiebreaker there, because I think there's more upside for Odunze.
It is so close. The Bears are on the bye this week, so I guess my concern with Loveland and Luther Burden, that could emerge more after the bye, where Ben Johnson has 2 full weeks to get those guys more integrated and involved. That's what edges Igbuka over Odunze for me, but it is airtight. It is so close.
Yeah, I'm honestly not that worried about Burden and Loveland.
I think he could still be the one.
If I'm DJ,
I just think that Igbuka could be the one. Yeah.
If I'm holding DJ Moore, I'm just holding a dead asset because
that's rough. Toast. He's a big faller too. Yeah.
But I feel like Odunze has kind of carved himself out as like the alpha there, and then
without a doubt,
I feel like Burden is a little bit more trick play, kind of.
He's gadgety for sure.
He's being used like Jameson Williams on the Lions. Like they're using him on screens, jet sweeps, kind of like these weird, quirky manufactured touches. And I don't think that really cuts into Odunze's production.
No. And you know what's so funny is coming into the draft, everybody like the people that hated Luther Burden were like, oh, he's a slot wide receiver only. And now they're using him like Jameson Williams. Right. Just take the top off the defense. Like completely the opposite of what he was billed at in his last year at Mizzou.
Yeah. And Loveland's been just completely MIA. So
and he's hurt as well. He's dealing with that hip thing.
He's also a very young tight end. So
very young.
The Dynasty rules states that only one young tight end can break out at once. And sorry, it's Mason Taylor season. So.
Oh gosh, I thought you were gonna say Tyler Moore.
Okay, the Dynasty rules state that only two tight ends, young tight ends, can pop off at the same time.
Out. Yeah. So we talked about the touchdowns in our little game there. I want to talk about some touchdown regression, and I learned today that positive regression is Tags' least favorite term. So I'm going to use it as much as possible in this segment.
No.
So I have 4 names that are due for some positive touchdown regression, and 4 names that are due for some plain old regular regression, negative regression, which is that redundant? I think we found out it's not redundant. Well, okay, whatever. So the first guy I want to talk about is the wide receiver 24 on the season, Ricky Pearsall, who is averaging 5 catches on 7.3 targets for 81 yards, and he has not caught a touchdown yet. Okay. Now, the guy that we just talked about, Rome Odunze, is also averaging 5 catches a game. He's averaging a target and a half more at 8.8 versus Ricky Pearsall's 7.3. But he is averaging 7 yards less a game, 74 yards. So they're both averaging 5 catches a game. Ricky's averaging 81 yards, Rome Odunze 74. Rome Odunze is the wide receiver 3 because he's caught 5 touchdowns. Now, the 49ers offense has not looked great. They had Mac Jones a little bit. Brock Purdy's banged up. But I think those offenses are pretty comparable. I don't think anybody could make the argument that the Bears offense is going to score way more points than the Niners over the course of the year. Ricky Pearsall is also the number 1 target currently. When George Kittle comes back, he will be competing for that. So I don't think this is a sell Rome Odunze, but I think it is a buy Ricky Pearsall because he is putting up better production, basically the same production, and he hasn't caught a touchdown yet. The next guy, and I sort of have these paired up a little bit, but I also want to talk about Egbuka again, and I want to pair him with another rookie wide receiver in Tetairoa McMillan. Tetairoa McMillan is averaging 4.5 catches on 8.8 targets for 70 yards. He has not caught a touchdown yet. Emeka Egbuka, also 4.5 catches on 7.8 targets for 70 yards. The exact same reception average, the exact same yard average. Egbuka has caught 4 touchdowns. Tetairoa McMillan is the wide receiver 33. Egbuka is the wide receiver 8. Now, I do think that there will be more touchdown opportunity in the Buccaneers offense than the Panthers, obviously. But who is Tetairoa McMillan competing for touchdowns over the course of the year? Nobody. There's nobody else in that offense. It's Xavier Legette, who can't catch a beach ball, Hunter Renfrow, Jatavion Sanders.
And also can't stay healthy.
Exactly. And so he's a red zone monster. He has the build for that. We could absolutely see some positive regression for Tetairoa McMillan. I think you could get, what do you think you could get as a plus if you went from Egbuka to Tetairoa McMillan right now?
You honestly might be able to get like a late first.
And that's insane.
Which is a huge tear down.
They are averaging the exact same receptions and yards. And Egbuka just has 4 more touchdowns through 4 weeks. It's not sustainable. Egbuka is not going to score 16 touchdowns. Tetairoa McMillan is not going to score 0.
Hey, not with that attitude, he won't.
We see this all the time where people talk about it in the offseason with touchdown regression. And it happens in season too. Egbuka has had a really good run to start the year here with no Godwin. Mike Evans got hurt. When those guys are all back, Jalen McMillan is back as well. I'm not saying Egbuka is going to be bad, but Tetairoa McMillan has not caught a touchdown yet. And they're averaging the exact same yardage and receptions. Okay? The next 2. Your guy, Quentin Johnston, Okay, is the wide receiver 4.
You keep Quentin Johnson's name out of your mouth. I'm gonna slap you right through the screen.
Okay, 5.5 receptions for 84 yards. He's caught 4 touchdowns. 4 touchdowns. Zay Flowers, 5.8 catches for 76 yards. He has 1 touchdown. Okay, QJ is the wide receiver 4 right now. Zay Flowers is the wide receiver 16. Famously, they were in the same draft class. Could you trade QJ for Zay Flowers right now in Dynasty?
Yeah, if you're a crazy person.
If you're crazy.
Why would you give up the clear wide receiver who's going to score 25 touchdowns this year?
So I think the QJ breakout is great. Me personally, I would be trying to, if I had any shares, I would be trying to take advantage of it. I know Tags might feel differently, but I would be trying to take advantage of the fact that he's averaging a touchdown a game, and he won't do that for the whole year. And Zay Flowers is known to not be a red zone guy, and I don't think
listen to him. He's gonna do
it. I don't think Zay Flowers will be a huge touchdown guy, but he'll score more than 2. He'll score more than 2 touchdowns. Another guy who I think, this one's a little different because this guy is currently the wide receiver 7 on the season. It's Jackson Smith-Njigba. He's averaging 6.5 catches for 100 yards, and he only has 1 touchdown. That will change.
And it's weird because Gino's been throwing touchdowns, just not to him. He's like throwing them to like as soon as they get in. Yeah, sorry. Darnold's been throwing touchdowns. He's like, as soon as it gets to the end zone, he's like, well, time to throw to Torrey Horton.
Oh my gosh, freaking yeah, AJ Barner. But yeah, the JSN will positively regress, and he will catch more touchdowns. And I think that people are really high on JSN, and so this is a weird one. But I think he could be like, he could finish as like the wide receiver 3. Like he really has that potential.
He's already wide receiver 7 without the touchdowns.
He's wide receiver 7 all the year with 1 touchdown.
Yeah, so he should, if he starts getting those touchdowns, he should get up into that like wide receiver 3 to 4 range at this rate.
It's nuts. And the guy ranked 1 spot ahead of him at wide receiver 6, George Pickens, who is averaging 5.3 receptions for 75 yards, and he has caught 4 touchdowns. It will regress. George Pickens will not catch 17 touchdowns. This is one, I don't think you should sell Ramadunze. I don't think you should sell Mike Buka. I think Pickens could be a sell. I think when it's hard because it's a high-flying offense. When CD comes back, I don't think he'll be as productive.
Yeah, I think if you're you're selling like this week, next week, before CD gets back, especially if a team needs production. If I'm in a rebuild team, I'm kind of selling Pickens, but honestly, Pickens looked pretty good though, and like he
did look good.
He's always had the draft profile coming out that like he has wide receiver 1 upside. So I'm not necessarily selling Pickens unless I'm in a rebuild team and kind of want to just like re-roll that asset into a draft pick, because I like Pickens even with Lamb there. We've seen offenses that can support 2 top end wide receivers, and if Pickens becomes a T. Higgins level player, I think that's great.
Yeah. What I would say is if you are a little shaky on Pickens, I would try and sell him for one of these guys who hasn't caught the touchdowns yet. Like if you can turn Pickens into Tedrow McMillan, that's a smash. Absolutely. For me. Right? Like just banking on, like Pickens is averaging less than a reception more and 5 yards more than him, but he's the wide receiver 6 versus wide receiver 33 just because of the touchdowns. And so if you can take advantage of that, I would absolutely be doing that. So that's what we got for you today. We appreciate everybody tuning in once again. I'm not sure what we're going to be doing next week. I think maybe week 6 could be the rookie draft redo, which I'm so excited for. We might want to wait a little longer.
I feel like it'd be could be fun to do a way too early rookie redraft, just as like kind of sets the marker of like where are these guys valued right now. I feel like week 6 is a good kind of spot as our first evaluation of where these guys slot in if we were to redo it. And you know what?
Also,
it's fun. We're playing fantasy football for fun.
See, and everybody else, all the other podcasts, they're going to wait, right? Because that's the responsible thing to do.
And we're not responsible.
But we're not going to.
We do.
So we're going to be the first ones. If you want a rookie redraft, you're going to have to come here. That's just how it is.
We're rebels. We just do what we want.
Exactly. We appreciate everybody tuning in. Come back next week. Make sure to hit the like if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to the Dynasty Arsenal channel, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah, I'm gonna edit out all of the QJ slander, so people will never know. All right, I'm gonna edit in over. I'm gonna do a voiceover where it just says, "By QJ, he's gonna score 16 touchdowns," and over that whole section where you slandered him. So that's my only note to close out the podcast.
All right.
See you next week.
Good shit, dude.